I had 3 victims that I've been working with, victims of the Carters, that were ready to come forward. This might help them feel a little more confident now. So this is great. Everything you see about him is an illusion, but what he loves the most is controlling youth.
Fact check me. And Jaguar has more information than I do. So to anybody who discredits her is really doesn't know what's going on, because she has more information than I could even dream of having, because I'm sure, without even speaking to her about this.
For 15 years, we've been told the same story. Rihanna, the innocent victim. Jay-Z, the protective mentor. Chris Brown, the monster who destroyed everything. But what if the story we've accepted isn't the complete picture? What if there are details that were overlooked, misunderstood, or never fully investigated? Tonight, Jaguar Wright is challenging the version of events that millions of people have heard for years. And according to her claims, there may be another side to Rihanna's rise, her relationships, and the powerful people surrounding her. But before we go any further, it's important to separate allegations from proven facts. Let's go back to the beginning, not the polished Hollywood version, but the timeline people continue to debate. Picture this: a teenage girl from Barbados arrives in America, far from home and surrounded by an unfamiliar industry. She's young, ambitious, and suddenly entering a world controlled by powerful executives, celebrities, and gatekeepers. What happened next would shape her entire career and raise questions that still haven't disappeared.
So tell me about your audition with Jay-Z. Tell me what he said to you.
A really good audition.
Yes.
But before I met him, I was so nervous. I was shaking literally. But the moment I walked into the office, the atmosphere was so warm and welcoming.
And you had to sing a cappella for him?
Yes, I had to sing. I sang Pon de Replay. I sang another ballad from the album last time.
Yeah. So then what did he say to you? He said something to you.
Oh yes, he said, we don't sing songs here, we sing artists. And there was this little pause, and I was nervous. But then he said, and we're interested. And there was this sudden feel of relief.
But then he said something about a window and a door or something.
Oh, then he said, he said it one more.
I did a lot of homework on you, this lady.
He said, there are 2 ways to leave here, either through the door with the deal sign or through this window, and we're on the 29th floor.
So you was like, where's the pen? Where's the paper? I'm signing.
Yeah.
Listen closely to Rihanna's own account of that night, because the details she shared have sparked questions for years. She described the encounter as an audition, but critics point to other details in her story: the unfamiliar surroundings, the pressure, the isolation, and the circumstances surrounding the contract. According to these interpretations, she may have felt trapped in a situation where walking away didn't seem like an option, leaving people to question what really happened that night.
We signed it that night. We didn't let her leave the office.
Really?
The 3 in the morning was when that contract got signed. So from the meeting around 3, 4 in the afternoon, we signed it by 3 in the morning.
Wow.
That day I was absolutely certain.
How often does that happen? I mean, that's
not often.
That's unheard of, right?
That's not, yeah. I mean, to get lawyers to draft up contracts and then the other side to agree to contracts in 10 hours that's retarded.
Now listen to Jay-Z's own account from years later, where he reportedly described the situation in a way that has sparked serious debate. He said they didn't let Rihanna leave until the paperwork was signed. Think about that statement carefully. If a powerful adult executive kept a teenage girl in an office until she agreed to a contract, that raises serious questions about pressure and consent. Whether it legally qualifies as coercion is a separate matter, but the circumstances deserve scrutiny.
Get discovered. This is an unusual story.
Well, first, I met a producer in Barbados who was vacationing there because his wife is from there. So he was vacationing there one time, and my friend who knows him, she wanted me to meet with him. So in a nutshell, I went to his hotel room, I sang for him, and he was impressed. So he invited me out to his studio to do some recording, and we recorded for like a year back and forth. Then we finally put a demo together. We sent it to a few labels, and Def Jam happened to be the first label to call back. They were the most enthusiastic about everything. So we set up a meeting with Jay-Z, and I met with him, and he was very impressed by the audition. And he didn't let me leave until 3 in the morning after we signed the deal.
Well, were you nervous meeting Jay?
What? I was literally shaking in the lobby. It was the longest 12 hours of my life. Like, I was just waiting downstairs, and I was like, get the contract down here. I want to sign, I want to sign, I want to sign. I was so hyped. I didn't sleep for the next 3 days.
But Jaguar Wright takes the story even deeper, making an even more disturbing claim. According to her account, Rihanna may have been only 15 when this alleged conditioning began. She describes a teenage girl alone inside a corporate environment with a powerful adult who had supposedly planned the meeting for hours. 4 hours is a long time for anyone, especially a teenager navigating an unfamiliar industry. These claims remain disputed, but they raise serious questions about power, age, pressure, and who may have been watching from the sidelines.
She was a kid at that time, correct?
A 15-year-old girl who had been flown to the United States without parental supervision or a chaperone, brought to a grown man's office in a large corporate Manhattan building. Everybody knew when she flew in. I was there the day she got signed. Everyone was talking about it, and the 6 hours that she spent with him, and the 4 hours that she spent alone with him with no parental supervision. Her father didn't show up to the next day to come and collect the check.
Well, and
this is her life.
The rumors were even beyond that, right? That Jay-Z was cheating on Beyonce with her when she was
Very
17
so.
Is what a lot of this came out through a publicist who later then
Have
had
you
to
spoken
apologize.
to my friend Jonathan Hay? You should talk to Jonathan.
The alleged conditioning didn't end with the contract. Jaguar Wright claims Rihanna was quickly introduced to adult industry environments while she was still only 15 or 16, surrounded by powerful people who, according to these allegations, should have been protecting a young artist instead of allowing her to be exposed to exploitation. But here's where the story becomes even more disturbing. Jaguar also alleges that whenever people within the industry tried to question what was happening or remind others that Rihanna was still a teenager, those voices were pushed aside and effectively removed from the picture. Even Rihanna's Grammy moment, which should have been one of the biggest celebrations of her young career, has been re-examined through this lens. Footage involving Jay-Z has fueled more debate. So ask yourself, are we watching a mentor proudly celebrating his artist's success, or something more controlling happening behind the scenes?
And then the next thing you know, she was removed from that first team from Palm the Replay and replaced with all new handlers and kept sheltered in Los Angeles, where she was going out to parties and partying at 15, 16, 17 years old, hanging out at the Rainbow Room, hanging out. Yeah, like it was one of my friends who found out she was 17 when everyone thought she was 21. And he was like, yo, why do y'all got me carrying this girl around? And she's, it's cool, it's cool.
Well, but just to echo and support you, like that they had to debunk that. Oh, we apologize. It wasn't real. We made it up in hopes of giving her single a boost.
Yeah, they
like,
promised
what?
Jonathan a deal working at Tidal and something, and then they reneged. And then the next thing you know, he was caught in a home invasion robbery while he was working on the Drake secret baby mama story,
Jeez.
Sophie. He was duct taped him and his daughter, and he was pow whipped in front of his child. So, there's a lot that goes on in the backdrop.
This isn't simply the story of a young talent being discovered. According to Jaguar Wright's allegations, it's a much darker account involving power, pressure, and a system that allegedly hid behind the language of the music business. And the most disturbing claim is that Rihanna eventually learned how this system supposedly worked, later using similar tactics against someone who threatened to expose what was happening. But before we get there, there's another piece of the story you need to understand. Jaguar's claims suggest Rihanna wasn't the only young woman caught in this alleged pattern. Instead, she may have been one part of a much larger cycle that had existed for years. And according to this narrative, one person who would have had a unique view of that world was the woman closest to Jay-Z.
Dad, I know I promised you I'm gonna give you my first Grammy, but we might have to fight for this one.
She said she wanted to thank everybody for her first Grammy.
Anyway, I'd like to thank Jay-Z for being a part of this record with me.
She'd like to thank Jigga Man for being the greatest in the world.
Ellen Reed, Steve Bartles, Tata, Jay Brown, Karen Kwok for finding this amazing record. Tricky, Dream for writing such a beautiful record. Thank you, I love you guys. Mom, Dad, my two brothers, Rory and Rajad. Please wrap up, okay? Barbados, I love you. We got one. Evan Rogers, Carl Sturken, Mark Jordan, Krista, and making sure I don't forget anybody. Thank you so much. This means a lot.
He's been avoiding the spotlight, but according to the claims, people behind the scenes already knew exactly who the celebrity John Doe was.
He's been evading, but the thing is, everyone in the backdrop knew that he was the celebrity John Doe. Everybody knew that. They knew it when I did Pierce Morgan.
Is Beyonce celebrity B?
I hope to God not, but she was around. And she's very... she's got enough on her plate. After everything that happened with the election and everything that's happening right now, I'm not going to dump on that woman. She got better fish to fry.
Well,
what I
look,
will say is that her husband, she knows exactly who he is.
Jaguar Wright drops another explosive claim, arguing that Beyonce may know far more about her husband's world than the public realizes. According to Jaguar's allegations, Beyonce has allegedly witnessed behavior surrounding Jay-Z for years and has chosen to remain silent. Jaguar suggests that this silence isn't necessarily about fear, but about protecting an empire built through fame, wealth, influence, and powerful industry relationships. Think about that for a moment. Beyonce is widely celebrated as a symbol of female empowerment, so these allegations naturally raise a difficult question. What would it mean if someone in that position had witnessed serious mistreatment and chose not to speak publicly? There is no established evidence proving Jaguar's claims, but the accusations continue to fuel debate about power, loyalty, and silence inside the entertainment industry.
He was after Beyonce when she was before 18, correct? I mean, as we go through the timeline, they claim, oh no, I met him at 18 and then we waited till I was 19, but they knew each other when she was like 15, 16, correct? He clearly had eyes, and it's not the only one, right? There's Aaliyah as well. I was looking at these photos. There's a history
but
of this,
Aaliyah,
right?
definitely. A lot of people don't realize the timeline, but after everything went bad with Robert Kelly and he had to divorce Aaliyah, Jay-Z was interested while she was still underage. And as she started spending more time in New York, he was very, very, very right there. She didn't want that. She didn't want that with him. And if there's one thing I can tell you about Sean Carter, being embarrassed and being rejected are things he does not handle well. You know, a lot of people say, oh, you're crazy. He didn't do anything to Big L.
Now Jaguar Wright claims to reveal the full scope of what she describes as a disturbing pattern. According to her allegations, Jay-Z's history with young female artists raises questions involving Rihanna, Beyonce, and Aaliyah, all of whom were teenagers during different stages of their lives and careers. Jaguar presents these stories as three separate examples of what she believes was a repeated pattern involving powerful men and young women in the music industry. But here's where her claims become even more serious. Jaguar alleges that Aaliyah rejected Jay-Z's advances and suggests that rejection became significant because, in her view, he did not respond well when people refused to cooperate. Remember that point, because she connects it to her broader allegations about power and control. Jaguar highlights ages and timelines to argue that these incidents were not isolated. She describes them as part of a methodology that allegedly continued for decades. However, these are serious allegations and have not been established as fact.
That Jay-Z used to have transgender women on there, on the tour bus. He knows that. He knows that Jay-Z used to prefer transgender women. So I don't know why. I wish Dame Dash would come out and, you know, say everything, but maybe in his own way, he's trying to, you know, protect the hip hop culture and knows how many people could be crushed if he came out and really spoke about Jay-Z's secrets. They set out to do that, you know?
Did you personally see Jay-Z with transgender women? You personally?
I have, correct.
Can you speak on like maybe in what aspect? Is it music video or outside of music videos?
It was during the tour. It was during the tour with the Mill, DMX, Jay-Z.
The Hard Knock Life.
No.
Or maybe a different one.
Yeah, they had the documentary for it. What was that called? I'll think of it. I'll think of it here in a little bit.
Yeah, it was a documentary, backstage or the stage.
Backstage with the mill and all that. I used to work with her, and I definitely. It was unmistakable. You know, in 2024, the trans women are, you know, it can be hard. You know, like a lot of people that, you know, they don't know, but back then it wasn't as advanced, and you could clearly tell, you know, that was.
But according to the claims being circulated, the story goes even deeper. Industry commentator Jonathan Hay has made allegations about Jay-Z's private behavior, claiming that some people around him witnessed things they found deeply disturbing. Dame Dash has also spoken publicly about his complicated history with Jay-Z and the reasons their partnership eventually fell apart. However, those accounts do not by themselves establish criminal conduct. The broader narrative being pushed by Jaguar Wright focuses on alleged relationships, power, and control within the music industry, including claims involving young women. And this is where the allegations surrounding Beyonce become even more controversial. Jaguar has argued that Beyonce's silence should be examined alongside her husband's enormous business empire. She claims that protecting their reputation and shared interests may have influenced how the couple handled serious accusations. But there is no established evidence proving that Beyonce participated in, enabled, or concealed abuse. Jaguar also repeatedly points back to claims about Jay-Z's alleged interactions with Rihanna when she was a teenager, using those stories to argue that a larger pattern existed. Those allegations remain disputed and should be independently verified before being treated as fact. The next part of Jaguar's narrative focuses on what allegedly happens after someone enters a powerful person's inner circle. According to her claims, gaining access is only the beginning. She describes an alleged system built around pressure, loyalty, fear, and silence, designed to make people think twice before speaking publicly. But again, these remain allegations rather than established findings.
Speaking of PTSD, you made a comment about this. Like, this was from a Super Bowl appearance more recently. This bothered you, seeing her put the Rockefellers logo out there.
If you
what was
go
your
back
instinct to that?
and watch, it was almost as if she didn't want to put her hands up, and then she looked over where Jay-Z's box was, and then you just see her hand. She look at her. She's looking at his box. She didn't want to do it. She didn't even want to do that gig. But the hold, especially the financial hold with the companies and all of the money and all of the strings that he pulled to. He treats these women like shell corporations.
Is that why this happened? Do you have any insight on this infamous elevator video where Solange was seen just unloading on him? Beyonce's there as well.
What I will say is, right there, that's the moment when he told her to back up and called her Tito Jackson.
Respect and love to Tito Jackson, who we just lost recently.
I know. Tito
Legend,
could never get a break, and he's the nicest guy.
But here, yeah, Jay-Z trying to mimic, she's not worthy, she's nobody, is what he's trying to do.
Pretty much, is what he pretty much said to her. But the thing is there was infidelity that was happening that night. Both of them got caught doing things they weren't supposed to do. I believe there might have been some DV that happened. And people who know Mr. Carter knows he doesn't have a problem with putting his hands on his wife. Plenty of people know that to be true. Solange is different. Allegedly, Solange is different. She's old school Southern, and she loves her big sister, even when her big sister makes mistakes. She stood up for her sister. The most interesting thing about that, though, can we look at that one more time, Andy? They come in, and all of this, and then look, it almost looks like he's going to defend himself, but instead he prostrates himself, right? He lets Solange go nuts, and then he sits there and acts. He knows that camera's there. He knows where all the cameras are in that place. There's another footage, and I'll get it and I'll send it to you, of him with another woman approaching him aggressively, or it seemed like aggressively, and he the crap out of her. Matter of fact, there's at least 5 different shows over the course of the past 15 years where he has physically women that came into his space that he didn't want anywhere near him. So I find it funny that in all those other instances, he had no problem with putting his hands on a woman to so-called defend himself. But when he's getting killed alive with cameras there, all of a sudden now he's meek and mild. I think that was a setup. I think he did that specifically to handle up on Solange.
Watch how Jaguar Wright interprets Rihanna's behavior during the Super Bowl. She points to the moment Rihanna appeared to acknowledge Jay-Z's Rockefeller connection and argues that Rihanna seemed to look toward his box before making the gesture. Jaguar sees that moment as more than an artist showing respect to a longtime mentor. In her interpretation, it represents a possible sign of influence and control. She also makes broader claims about the financial relationships connecting Jay-Z, Rihanna, and Beyonce, arguing that their business ties could create enormous pressure to protect a shared public image. But those interpretations are not proof that anyone is being controlled. Jaguar's allegations go even further, claiming that both Rihanna and Beyonce have experienced abuse behind the glamorous public image. Those are extremely serious accusations, and there is no established evidence proving them. Still, Jaguar's narrative raises questions about how power, money, loyalty, and reputation can shape relationships inside the entertainment industry, and why powerful celebrities may sometimes remain silent when controversy surrounds their inner circle.
Okay, the person who leaked the security video of Solange attacking Jay-Z was found and then fired. Reportedly, it was a female security guard. And she didn't take the tape from the hotel security system. She recorded it on her cell phone. Well, that was smart, though, because I mean, I'd be thinking about just take the tape. So that was smart. The less than smart thing is that it took her 5 days. She shopped it around for 5 days before she got, you know, some dough for it. Finally, you know, it was TMZ who bought the video. Originally, it was reported that whoever sold it for $250,000, but now there's some discrepancy in the amount of money. Some people are saying $50,000, some are saying $100,000, others are saying $250,000. Either way, now she's going to lose it all because now the Standard's going to sue her. They've hired a high-priced lawyer to go after this security guard girl, and now, you know, she can never be, I guess, a security person again since she's a security breacher. It's terrible.
But here's where Jaguar Wright's version of the story takes an even darker turn. She argues that Solange wasn't simply defending her sister during the infamous elevator incident. She was challenging the power structure surrounding Beyonce. In Jaguar's interpretation, Solange represented one of Beyonce's closest sources of family support and a connection to a life outside Jay-Z's influence. Jaguar therefore suggests that the aftermath of the incident effectively pushed Solange further away from Beyonce's inner circle. Think about what happened afterward. The sisters, once frequently seen together, appeared to become more private and independent in their public lives. Jaguar interprets that change as evidence of deliberate separation, although there is no verified proof that Jay-Z engineered it. She also claims Rihanna was watching these dynamics unfold and learning how power allegedly operated inside the industry. According to this narrative, Rihanna would eventually become part of a much larger controversy involving someone who allegedly discovered disturbing information behind closed doors. And that's where Jaguar's story reaches its most dramatic point. She argues that the same alleged control system was eventually used in a calculated public narrative that transformed a private conflict into one of the most discussed celebrity scandals of its era.
I am strong. This happened to me. I didn't cause this. I didn't do it. This happened to me, and it can happen to anybody. There are a lot of women who've experienced what I did, but not in the public. So it made it really difficult. I just felt like, oh my God, here goes my little bit of privacy, just exposed. Like, it's something that nobody wants anybody to know. So here I am, the whole world knowing.
Why be ashamed?
Because I didn't want people to think that that's the kind of person I fell in love with. That person. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing that that's the type of person that I fell in love with. So far in love, so unconditional that I went back.
On average, I think it takes a woman 7 times before she leaves.
8 or 9, actually. And I don't want that to happen. That's not what I want to teach people. But again, people, I'm a human being, and people put me on a very unrealistic pedestal and all these expectations. I'm not perfect. Also, it's pretty natural for that to be the first reaction. It's completely normal to go back. You start lying to yourself. The minute the physical wounds go away, you want this thing to go away. This is a memory you don't want to have ever again.
Watch this closely, because this is Rihanna's 2009 ABC News interview with Diane Sawyer, one of the most discussed moments from the Chris Brown controversy. Jaguar Wright interprets the appearance as something far more calculated, arguing that it helped shape public perception and protect powerful industry interests. Notice the language Rihanna used, her strength, what happened to her, and her insistence that she wasn't responsible. Jaguar questions whether the presentation was simply personal testimony or something more carefully prepared for maximum public sympathy.
I couldn't be held responsible for telling them, go back. Chris, even if Chris never hit me again, who's to say that their boyfriend won't? Who's to say that they won't kill these girls? And these are young girls.
Jaguar Wright argues that Rihanna's interview didn't simply portray Chris Brown as the person who hurt her, it helped turn him into a much larger public threat in the eyes of millions. But that's Jaguar's interpretation, not an established fact. She questions whether the interview reflected raw trauma alone or whether the public narrative surrounding it became part of a much broader media strategy. Pay attention to the timing. The interview came while Chris Brown was facing enormous public backlash and attempting to rebuild his career. One major television appearance brought Rihanna's story directly into millions of homes, while Chris's reputation continued taking another massive hit. Jaguar describes that timing as deliberate, but there is no verified evidence proving the interview was designed as an attack. Then she connects the moment to her broader allegations about Jay-Z, Rihanna, and the entertainment industry's power structure. She asks who may have influenced Rihanna's public messaging and whether powerful people benefited from the way the story unfolded. Jaguar goes even further, claiming Rihanna's presentation was carefully shaped to create a specific image of victimhood while redirecting attention toward Chris Brown. She suggests this was part of a larger pattern of eliminating threats and protecting powerful figures. Those are serious allegations, however, and they remain unproven. What is undeniable is that the interview became a defining moment in the controversy, and its impact on Chris Brown's public image was enormous.
Don't see the lineup?
Yeah, we see the lineup. I'm just waiting to see who's next.
Jay-Z is setting Diddy up. Why is everyone having such a hard time? He ain't doing shit. He lined up D-Haven, stole his life and identity. He lined up Big L, stole his life and identity. He lined up Dame Dash, stole his life, identity, and took his love. Lined up R. Kelly. He wants to be the one.
Yeah, shout out D-Haven. He actually hit us up, wanted to tell this story.
You need to talk to D-Haven.
Yeah, we need to talk to him.
I told you that last year when I put you on the phone with him.
You did.
I want you to think about this. Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce, who was struggling. Let's just say allegedly that happened. Now I want you to think about 106th and Park with Mary J. Blige. Free, who is a victim of Sean Carter.
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige, who is a victim of Sean Combs, are sitting there talking about the death of Aaliyah amongst each other. Think about that. You got a Diddy victim, you got a Jay-Z victim, and you got a superstar gone. They know what happened. And yet, they had to sit there and have that conversation like they didn't know who did it. Think of the power of that moment. Think about Claudia Jordan right now. Claudia Jordan don't ever mention my mother name. She mentioned it yesterday. Talking about why people are afraid to come forward. You mean like you? You was Diddy girl. Corey was Jay-Z girl. Why don't you claim your friend? Claudia.
So, Jag, when you say...
When I say Corey, I'm talking about Kathy White.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
Jay-Z's pregnant mistress,
yeah,
who died of an imagined aneurysm, just like the woman who was best friends with Kim and Kimura, who wrote the book Bling and died as soon as it made the bestsellers list. Who the these people supposed to go to? You can't go to the boss because the boss is you. And the boss's boss don't get no Can't go to the authorities. They're all bought and paid for.
Here's the claim that raises the most serious questions. Jaguar Wright argues that Jay-Z has spent decades using his influence to isolate or discredit people who could threaten his empire. She points to DeHaven as someone who allegedly knew too much about the early days of the business, while describing Dame Dash as a former partner who eventually became deeply estranged from Jay-Z. She also references Aaliyah and Kathy White, connecting their tragic deaths to a much larger theory about powerful people and unanswered questions. But these connections do not prove that Jay-Z caused or orchestrated anyone's death. Those are serious allegations that require credible evidence. Jaguar's broader theory describes a repeated pattern: isolate the person, damage their credibility, and then allow the controversy to disappear from public attention. She argues that Chris Brown became another example of how a celebrity can be overwhelmed by a powerful public narrative. But rather than accepting the theory as fact, the key question is what evidence actually supports these claims. And that's where the industry insiders become important.
People have been hitting me about, how could Jaguar Wright know all these things, right? And how, Jaguar Wright hasn't worked with Jay-Z since, when she did the Unplugged. That's a long time ago. Well, I can tell you just from what I've experienced is the people that have contacted me since I've done like your show and since I've done other shows, people have contacted me, other victims, and have sent me. Obviously, there's been some people that have sent me stuff that, doesn't check out or whatever, but victims have contacted me and they have sent me proof that can never be disputed, photos, everything else, because they don't want to bring their story out, but they like what we're doing. So they're whistleblowing, but they're doing quietly to protect their jobs and to protect their families and to protect, whatever. They're not comfortable speaking out. So if I've got all kinds of information in the last 2 months, just from doing, shows like you guys, I can't imagine all the stuff that Jaguar Wright has got and to her and the access that she's seen and the people who have came to her. Like, she has such a bigger reach and such a bigger audience than me. It's and mine is getting to the point where it's overwhelming of people reaching out who have suffered from Diddy, from Jay-Z, and from these celebrities.
Here's where the story takes another turn. Jonathan Hay, described as someone who worked around Rihanna, has reportedly shared comments that supporters believe echo some of Jaguar Wright's allegations. But that doesn't automatically confirm Jaguar's claims or prove that every detail is accurate. What it does is add another voice to a controversial story, someone who allegedly had access to the industry from the inside. And when an insider appears to support parts of a narrative, it's understandable why audiences start paying closer attention and asking what else may have happened behind closed doors.
Allegedly, the song Daughter on Beyonce's Cowboy Carter album.
I love that one.
Well, it's potentially a murder confession about Jay-Z's mistress, Kathy White.
What?
Yeah, buckle up. On August 28th, 2011, Beyonce announced her pregnancy at the MTV VMAs.
Iconic.
On January 7th, 2012, Blue Ivy was born into this world. In 2016, Beyonce dropped Lemonade. Now, as we all know, Lemonade was a true album about infidelity. Jay-Z was rumored to have a very long time mistress. It was well known in the industry. People knew of Kathy White because of Jay-Z, okay? Yikes. So here's where it gets a little crazy. Kathy White was known to be pregnant in 2011. Shortly after giving birth, Kathy died mysteriously in her apartment of a brain aneurysm.
I have a feeling this is related.
Okay. Now, even though we saw Beyonce's bump publicly, there's a video of Beyonce sitting down for an interview and her whole stomach just deflates in the video, and it's very weird.
This is crazy.
If you listen to Daughter, the song completely illustrates her confession. The lyrics in the song say, "Your body laid out on these filthy floors, your bloodstains on my custom coutures. Bathroom attendant let me right in. She was a big fan. I tried to stay cool, but your arrogance disturbed my solitude. Now I ripped your dress and you're all black and blue. Look what you made me do." So fans are speculating that Beyonce had Kathy White killed after Kathy White had the baby and claimed the baby as her own, and that baby is Blue Ivy.
Kathy White was reportedly pregnant around 2011, and shortly afterward, she died in her apartment from what was reported as a brain aneurysm. Her death has since become the subject of intense online speculation, with some people questioning whether there was more to the story. But suspicion alone is not evidence, and there is no verified proof connecting her death to Jay-Z, Beyonce, or any alleged criminal act. Then came another viral theory involving Beyonce's pregnancy. Online commentators have repeatedly analyzed old interview footage, pointing to moments where they claim her stomach appears to change shape. Those clips have fueled speculation, but they do not establish that anything was medically or legally suspicious. Fans have also interpreted Beyonce's song Daughter through this lens, arguing that certain lyrics could be referencing Kathy White or an alleged confrontation. That's an interpretation, not a confirmed confession. There is no reliable evidence proving that Beyonce had Kathy White killed, that Kathy was carrying Jay-Z's child, or that Blue Ivy was secretly Kathy's daughter. Yet Jaguar Wright's broader allegations go much further. She suggests that powerful people may protect their reputations by turning vulnerable individuals into shields for the system around them. According to this theory, people who once experienced pressure can eventually become participants in protecting the same structures that control them. Again, that remains an allegation and has not been established as fact. This is where Jaguar's narrative about Rihanna takes another dramatic turn. She argues that Rihanna's journey represents a transformation from a young artist navigating a powerful industry into someone who allegedly learned how those systems operate. Jaguar claims that Rihanna eventually became part of the machinery used to damage people who challenged powerful figures, including Chris Brown. But there is no established evidence proving Rihanna acted as anyone's weapon or participated in a conspiracy against Chris Brown. What we can say is that the 2009 controversy permanently changed the public perception of both artists. And that leaves us with a bigger question. When celebrities publicly defend people surrounded by allegations, are we seeing loyalty, personal choice, media strategy, or something more complicated? Those questions deserve scrutiny, but they also require evidence. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another story. Until then, fam, keep it real.